Hello, friends! If there's one constant in the world, it's that Harry and Meghan never fail to deliver drama. But even I was floored when I saw the latest twist in this never-ending saga. The sight of Nacho Figueras and his wife, Delphina. Blake here, cozying up with Zara and Mike Tindall at the Magic Millions Carnival in Australia, nearly had me falling out of my chair. For those who might need a refresher, Nacho was once Harry's closest ally, the man who stood by him during the early days of the royal upheaval, defended their every move, appeared in their Netflix special, and pledged unwavering loyalty through thick and thin. Yet now, he's seen mingling with the Tindalls, the epitome of the calm, drama-free royal existence that Harry and Meghan can only dream of. And speaking of the Tindalls, can we take a moment to appreciate Zara's effortless elegance? She exudes poise and grace, a shining example of how to embrace royal life with dignity while maintaining a sense of relatability. There she was, a picture of grace at the event, representing her royal family with dignity and poise. No Oprah interviews, no tell-all books, just pure unadulterated class. And Mike Tindall, the man who doesn't seek the spotlight and doesn't need to manipulate the media to stay relevant. There they were, at the heart of the Magic Millions, not simply attending, but embodying what it truly means to serve the monarchy with sincerity. Meghan, are you taking notes yet? You can almost imagine Meghan's reaction from here. Surely, she wasn't pleased when she learned that her former friend was getting cozy with the Tindalls. One can easily picture the crockery being thrown in Montecito and Netflix executives desperately trying to hit the ignore button. Can you really blame them? The Sussex brand is losing momentum faster than a leaky boat, and Hollywood is starting to realize that what once seemed like a sparkling fairy tale is beginning to resemble a fading after party. No one is sticking around for the glamour anymore. The shine is fading, the stories are becoming tiresome, and frankly, Netflix is likely regretting handing them the keys to their kingdom. Meghan Markle has spent the last few years constructing a narrative about herself that only the most naive would buy into. Let's not sugarcoat it. Her entire persona is based on one thing: self-interest. It's almost laughable how transparent she is in crafting her own story, constantly playing the victim while portraying herself as some kind of humanitarian hero. But don't be fooled. This is nothing more than a carefully curated facade to conceal the ugly truth. Meghan is as self-centered and manipulative as they come. Let's start with the basics. Her supposed commitment to social causes? It's laughable. The truth is, Meghan is a master at leveraging causes to boost her public image. How many times have we seen her show up at a charity event, perfectly staged for a photo op, looking like the epitome of celebrity activism? It's a pattern that's becoming all too familiar. The reality is, Meghan has no genuine commitment to the causes she claims to support. If she truly cared about anything other than her own self-promotion, she wouldn't have so publicly attacked the royal family at every opportunity. By airing her grievances to anyone willing to listen, her constant outbursts only serve to reinforce what we already know. She's more interested in cementing her place among the Hollywood elite than in making any real difference in the world. And let's talk about her relationship with Harry. If there's one thing that's become clear over the past few years, it's that Meghan is a master manipulator. She entered the royal family with a singular goal in mind, using Harry as a stepping stone to further her own career. Never mind that Harry had spent his entire life in the public eye, navigating royal expectations with dignity. Meghan arrived, took full advantage of his naivety, and turned him into a pawn for her personal agenda. Now, that's not to say Harry is blameless. He's an adult and made his own choices, but let's not fool ourselves. Meghan knew exactly what she was doing. She entered this relationship like a predator, ready to swoop in and take what she could. And let's not pretend she didn't know what she was getting into. The royal family had been in the public eye for centuries, yet Meghan acted as if she were the first person ever thrust into this high-pressure environment. Instead of respecting the institution, she immediately began undermining it, taking every opportunity to criticize the monarchy and garner public sympathy. The hypocrisy is truly staggering. Meghan and Harry left the royal family claiming they sought privacy, yet their every move has become a public spectacle. Meghan often claims she was persecuted by the media, but let's call it what it is. She craves attention. She thrives on it. If she didn't, she wouldn't have embraced the reality show lifestyle that she and Harry have now made for themselves. In Hollywood, every new venture, every book deal, every Netflix project, all of it screams the same thing. Meghan Markle is obsessed with her own image. It's not about the causes she pretends to care about. It's about the Meghan Markle brand. That's her true priority. What's even more troubling is her complete lack of self-awareness. The audacity of Meghan to sit in interviews discussing how hard her life is, claiming the royal family was allegedly racist, and how she was made to feel like an outsider while completely ignoring the privileges she has enjoyed her entire life is beyond infuriating. Meghan was never the girl from Compton. She tries to present herself as such, but the reality is she was an actress living in luxury with a lifestyle most people can only dream of. In a surprising twist, she skillfully presents herself as a tragic figure, a victim of an unjust system. However, the reality is far simpler. She strategically invokes victimhood to gain sympathy, grab headlines, and most importantly, secure the spotlight she craves. Moreover, there's the persistent pattern of distorting facts. Meghan has adeptly crafted her own narrative over time. Remember when she claimed she never researched Harry before meeting him? It's a charming tale, but one that belies the truth. A woman who meticulously researched her future husband, yet portrays herself as innocent and unaware. Despite these efforts, the media perpetuates the myth of Meghan as an innocent victim who stumbled into chaos unwittingly, although the truth suggests otherwise. Her personal relationships have been marked by toxicity. Meghan's knack for alienating both friends and family is telling. Former close connections, such as those with Nacho Figueras and Lena Blacker, have all but disappeared. The irony lies in the fact that these were once her staunch supporters, publicly defending her and standing by her. Now they are notably absent. The same pattern extends to her estranged relationships with her father, her sister, and anyone else who dares to voice criticism. Meghan has a well-documented history of severing ties under the guise of protecting her image. Loyalty and friendship seem to be foreign concepts to her, as she appears indifferent to anyone but herself. The moment someone challenges her, they are swiftly discarded. Regarding loyalty, it is evident that Meghan's marriage to Harry is less about mutual respect and more about her exploiting his vulnerabilities. Harry has always been an emotional and sensitive individual, traits that Meghan skillfully exploited. She persuaded him that his family was against him, unsupportive and holding him back. In truth, it was Meghan who was stifling him, feeding him falsehoods, exploiting his vulnerabilities, and causing him to question everything he had ever known. It's clear that Harry is no longer the man he once was. He appears as a shadow of his former self, distanced from his family, losing friendships, and confined to a life of isolation in Montecito. And who bears responsibility for this? Meghan. Her selfishness, self-serving motives, and complete lack of empathy have fractured Harry's relationships, tarnished his reputation, and severed his ties with the royal family. So what is Meghan's true desire? It's straightforward. She seeks adoration. She craves global admiration and worship. She aspires to be seen as a champion of worthy causes, a symbol of hope for the oppressed, and a voice for those without one. However, beneath this facade lies a woman determined to do whatever it takes to stay on top, even if it involves exploiting others, manipulating the media, and fracturing her own family. While the public may be deceived for a time, the truth inevitably surfaces. Meghan's self-serving nature will eventually catch up with her, as it has with many before her, and when it does, no sympathetic interview or tell-all book will shield her from the inevitable consequences. The enigma of Meghan Markle isn't her. Constant presence in the spotlight, anyone with the right connections can achieve that. The real question is how someone with such glaring flaws manages to remain there. Meghan's transition from Duchess to a second-tier Hollywood figure has been nothing short of an embarrassing spectacle. One thing she has consistently delivered is public outbursts. While she may have persuaded a few naive supporters that she's a progressive icon, the rest of us watch in astonishment as she plunges deeper into her self-created drama. This is the same woman who once professed a desire for peace and privacy, yet now broadcasts her life across Netflix in a desperate bid for relevance. The contradictions are glaring. Meghan's public image is rooted in victimhood, portraying herself as a persecuted underdog in an unjust system. But the key to being a victim is actually experiencing victimhood. And that's where Meghan's narrative unravels. Her so-called struggles become almost laughable when you consider the privileges she has enjoyed throughout her life. Wealth, fame, and a platform most could only dream of. So forgive us if we're not exactly moved to tears by her hardships. It feels as though she's auditioning for a role in a Lifetime movie, with a performance so exaggerated it's difficult not to cringe. Now, let's address Meghan's peculiar obsession with controlling her narrative. This isn't just a woman who has faced a few challenges. This is someone who has turned her life into a meticulously crafted story. Every action, every word is carefully designed to bolster her brand. The girl from Compton persona? Pure fabrication. She has played that card repeatedly, as if a few anecdotes about her childhood can somehow justify the extensive privilege she now enjoys. Meghan's entire life seems like a carefully orchestrated marketing campaign designed to make her appear as relatable and down-to-earth as possible, but the truth is she is neither relatable nor grounded. Despite enjoying every possible advantage, she still manages to cast herself as the ultimate victim. Her social media presence is a masterclass in self-absorption. Every tweet, every Instagram post meticulously crafted to remind the world that she is the most important person in the room. Watch closely as she subtly positions herself as the hero in every story. Her latest Netflix special, a 10-episode lesson in narcissism. It's all about her. Look at me. Look at how hard my life is. Look at the injustice I've endured. It's a performance that could almost deserve a standing ovation if it weren't so blatantly manufactured. This is why her content often comes across as so cringeworthy. It's impossible to watch without sensing that she's constantly angling for more. More likes, more attention, more adoration. And when the spotlight inevitably dims, she'll spin another tale about how the world failed to understand her. Spoiler alert, the world does understand her. It's simply grown tired of the act. Let's not overlook how she has systematically distanced herself from anyone who doesn't conform to her version of reality. Meghan is the ultimate expert in cutting people off when they no longer serve her purpose. Family don't make her laugh. Harry's family, who once embraced her warmly, are now treated as mere inconveniences, and Meghan has an uncanny ability to discard those who once stood by her, replacing them with individuals who can offer her even greater power and influence. And when things don't go her way, she simply moves on. People are discarded like hot potatoes. It's a predictable pattern. The Sussexes once had a circle of loyal friends, but how many remain today? Not many. Sure, she may have a few Hollywood elites whispering in her ear, but the reality is she's alienated anyone who dared to question her actions. And what about Meghan's so-called philanthropic efforts? We've all seen the photos of her posing with children, looking like a Hollywood superhero. But let's be honest, when has Meghan ever engaged in charitable work without the cameras present? There's no genuine connection to the causes she claims to support. Instead, her charity work seems more about building her brand than making a real difference. It feels like a box-ticking exercise to craft an image of perfection, portraying herself as someone dedicated to changing the world. But real change doesn't come from glossy magazine spreads and carefully crafted press releases. Real change happens through consistent, dedicated effort, not by showing up for a photo op and retreating to a luxury mansion in Montecito. Perhaps the most striking issue with Meghan is her lack of self-awareness. Her ability to behave as though she is somehow more enlightened than the rest of us is astonishing. She portrays herself as above it all, yet continually finds herself embroiled in drama and scandal. Whether it's the ongoing feud with her father, the public fallout with her half-sister, or her increasingly desperate attempts to remain relevant. In Hollywood, Meghan has shown a clear lack of understanding when it comes to humility. Humility may be a virtue for the rest of us, but it appears to have little place in Meghan's world. She is too busy playing the role of modern-day royalty, someone who expects the world to bow down and worship her at every opportunity. The unfortunate reality is that the world has stopped caring. The carefully curated bubble of fame Meghan has built is beginning to burst, and there's nothing more pitiable than watching someone desperately cling to relevance as their star fades. It's evident that Meghan is fixated on being perceived as a savior, a beacon of hope in a world fraught with injustice. But here's the problem. People see through the facade. The more she attempts to orchestrate moments of perceived righteousness, the more she alienates those she claims to want to help. The sad truth is that Meghan's legacy will not be one of meaningful impact or change. Instead, it will be remembered for its arrogance, self-serving motives, and a profound lack of understanding of what it truly means to help others. In the end, all she will have to show for her efforts is a tarnished reputation and a series of failed ventures. Looking back at Meghan Markle's story, it's hard not to view it as one big performance. It's almost as though she was born for the spotlight, despite her constant insistence that she doesn't want to be in it. The narrative she's been pushing since stepping away from royal duties is a textbook example of contradictions. Every time she speaks, it's as if she forgets what she just said moments before. Her hypocrisy is staggering, yet what's truly fascinating is how she's managed to persuade so many people to buy into the idea that she's a victim of circumstance. Meghan Markle, a woman with a multi-million-dollar Netflix deal, a fleet of PR teams at her disposal, and a global platform, somehow presents herself as oppressed. It's almost laughable. It's difficult to take Meghan seriously when she plays the victim card so blatantly, and worse, so frequently. She's the first to cry about privacy, yet has no qualms about sharing every minute detail of her life with the public. Endless interviews, memoirs, Netflix specials, social media rants. It's all one big spectacle. But the question remains, who is it really for? It's certainly not for the voiceless people she claims to champion. It's all for Meghan. It's always been about Meghan. She can try to convince herself that she's a modern-day princess leading a revolution, but truth is far simpler. She's a woman who craves attention and adoration, and she's willing to do anything to keep it. Every time I see her appear on screen with her well-meaning smile and her "I just want to help the world" rhetoric, I can't help but roll my eyes. The fact that she is still portrayed as some kind of humanitarian is utterly absurd. She is a walking, talking contradiction. She talks about wanting to change the world, yet her actions scream, "Look at me. Look at how amazing I am." From the way she markets her so-called charity work to how she uses her royal connections to propel her Hollywood career, it's all about her. It's unmistakably clear that her intentions are far from altruistic. Her actions seem primarily self-serving. How many times can one claim to be an advocate for mental health while simultaneously trivializing the issue through displays of petulance over something as trivial as unfavorable media coverage? This behavior does not embody activism. It's merely an exercise in personal branding. Then there's the persona she often projects, the "I'm just like you" narrative. She portrays herself as a relatable, unpretentious individual who genuinely understands the struggles of everyday people, despite her position as a privileged woman who married into royalty. This image becomes difficult to take seriously when her lifestyle involves frequent international travel, attendance at lavish events, and residing in an opulent mansion. While she frequently discusses women's empowerment, her words often lack tangible connection to genuine struggles. Her speeches on the subject often appear more like an effort to draw attention to her accomplishments than to offer meaningful substance or support. It's as though she believes her very presence is enough to transform the world. While in reality, she seems trapped in a cycle of self-promotion, casting herself as the protagonist in every narrative. What stands out most is her approach to relationships. Meghan has an uncanny ability to sever ties, whether with family, friends, or anyone bold enough to offer criticism. Those who challenge her quickly find themselves excluded from her life. The irony lies in her continued effort to champion the family-first image, all while demonstrating how easily people can be discarded when they no longer serve her purpose. It almost feels like a strategic game. The moment someone ceases to be useful, they're removed. And all of this is cloaked in a meticulously crafted facade of enlightenment and self-awareness. There's nothing remotely enlightening about abandoning people the moment they refuse to conform to your expectations. Yet somehow, Meghan has managed to position herself as a misunderstood victim in this entire narrative, skillfully framing herself as the unfairly maligned hero. She has distanced herself from her family and cut off those who once supported her, yet somehow we are expected to sympathize with her. Spare me! Then there's the ongoing spectacle of Harry and Meghan's so-called private life, the one they supposedly fought so hard to protect. They stepped away from royal duties to escape media scrutiny. But the irony here is palpable. Meghan has spent more time in the spotlight in recent years than she ever did as a working royal. It almost seems as though after leaving the monarchy, she realized just how advantageous her position was and how much more she could exploit her newfound freedom. Privacy, it seems, was only appealing if it came packaged with Netflix deals, exclusive interviews, and a steady media presence. Even more tiresome, however, is the relentless complaining. It's as though Meghan believes she's the only person to ever face the challenges of life in the spotlight. She's the first to decry unfair treatment, yet she eagerly uses that same narrative to serve her own interests. If it weren't so pitiable, it might even be considered clever. What's even more exasperating is her persistent portrayal of herself as the savior in every scenario. Meghan always positions herself as the one with the solutions, the one who truly understands it all. But the reality is glaringly different. Her lack of insight is undeniable. The unrelenting self-righteousness, coupled with her "I know better than everyone else" attitude, is utterly draining to observe. In truth, Meghan is just another celebrity, much like the many others who attempt to transform their privilege into a platform of moral superiority. The difference, however, lies in Meghan seems genuinely convinced that she's making a profound difference. Newsflash, no one's buying it anymore. Her public image is a meticulously crafted facade, a house of cards built on the premise that she is more enlightened, more deserving of recognition, and more worthy of attention than everyone else. Yet beneath the surface, there's nothing of real substance. Meghan Markle isn't a trailblazer. She's a brand, a polished, overhyped, and self-serving brand that thrives on drama and controversy. Her contributions have been superficial, at best offering nothing of lasting value, yet we're still expected to revere her as if she's some kind of revolutionary. The truth is far less flattering. She's another celebrity clinging to the spotlight, no matter the cost. And as that spotlight begins to dim, it's clear that her relevance is waning. It's almost tragic in a way. Meghan had everything: fame, family, fortune. But in her relentless pursuit of more, she has lost what made her intriguing in the first place. Now she's little more than a voice shouting into the void, desperate for someone, anyone, to keep listening. But let's be honest, the act has worn thin. Meghan Markle is no revolutionary. She's simply a celebrity playing the victim for fame and fortune. And soon enough, the world will move on to the next star, leaving her behind.